It says live. The camera says live, and all of a sudden, the view is closer, which must mean that my little Viking axe and I are live. Ta-da! Oops. You're now live. Now you're live. Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, human beings of all ages, when everything is a little better, I'd like us all to create a little fun chip in so that we can send whichever small techno department within Facebook needs to. We can send that little department to school somewhere where it can learn to communicate with us more effectively. Dear Facebook, it's disconcerting when you have barely begun your event and it says, create a different one, create another one, and by the way, FPS, you're too low. I see. This is what we call unhelpful in therapy language. Good morning, everybody. Did we all survive? We must have. We're here. Today, friend of mine who periodically, reaches down from his great tech height and speaks in the language I understand. He was showing me something how to fix something on Facebook Live, and the too low FPS came up, and he had a meltdown because what? What do you mean? What do you mean it's action needed? What is wrong with you? And I thought, it's so much better when we don't feel alone, really. So I started by saying, how was our New Year's? And to me, New Year's is just a benchmark. It's a good calendar number because it zeroes back to 1, and if we've forgotten what number in the hundreds we were counting, or which day it is, we can say, oh good, we can start all over. Wonderful, 1, and then tomorrow theoretically will be 2, and so it's kind of a refresh. It's a refresh. It's a reboot. And one of the things that I've noticed, because how could you not, is how badly everyone is behaving. And I know why we are doing that. It's not a mystery. It's the effect half of cause. And we don't really think about things until we're in the middle of coping with them. And then we're far too busy, tap dancing and trying to put the fire out in our pants and juggling flaming chainsaws and whatnot to have any moments of introspection. Which is why I thought I would bring my handy my introspection tool. When the world is too much with me, I just give it a little tap so it can go away, so I can have a moment of introspection where I can think more calmly and evolve in that elegant, gracious way that I intend to have any day now. All right. By the way, isn't this adorable? Viking. Anyway, I'm here today to talk about our alter egos. And the reason I want to talk about our alter egos is because I'm almost at the point, and it's the 4th of January, I'm almost at the point where I would like to cream pie the next person who tells me to just feel good about yourself. Just step up. Just do this, just do that. And I would like to just them with a lemon meringue pie, just to level the playing field. Just is one of those words that people use, usually unconsciously. They use the word to minimize how difficult a thing is. They're not actually eliminating the difficulty. They're just being condescending about it, hoping that the difficulty will go away. And I don't know about you, but when someone condescends me, I don't go away. I stick around. Brighter, actually, and even more annoying than before, because condescending is not really a helpful tool. I know that I keep using the word helpful rather than destructive, dangerous, hopeless. And the reason I use it is because in the course of my years coaching writers and speakers to find their best selves before they step out in public. I've worked with a couple of therapists as my clients. As my clients. I'm not seeing them, they're coming to me. And one of them said, that warrior-like attitude you sometimes have, Abby, is unhelpful. And it was such a funny thing to hear this beautiful, lovely, gracious woman say, especially the way she used the word unhelpful. Not condescending. She's never condescending. But she said it a little more slowly than some of the other words, probably assuming correctly that I was going to have a moment trying to digest it. So when I say that something is unhelpful, it means that it means that it's dangerous. So we are all taught most of the things we do. We're taught from a very early age when we arrive. Some of the things that our bodies know how to do naturally are fortunate. We blink, we burp, we digest, we breathe, thank you. The heart beats, thank you. Unless something goes terribly wrong, in which case we go rushing around looking for. And we're not necessarily taught by an expert. This is a thing that we fail to grasp because, by the way, we're a month old, or 6 months old, or 37, whichever. The person teaching us just happens to be the person teaching us. The regular person teaching us was sick that day. And so we're taught what they think is the best way to do it. And sometimes they're right. And sometimes that much is by how much they missed it. And we don't know that. So we go through life assuming that that's the way. That's the thing to do. That's how this works. I know because my guru told me so. Meanwhile, our guru is over in the corner and trying to get the lid off the brand new jar of jam. And so we don't ever really seek the truth in that. We don't, I was going to say second guess, but that's the wrong word. We don't ever really wonder if they actually knew what they were doing. We just take it as gospel and carry on. And then we layer things on top of that. When someone comes along and says, well, just be more positive, there's no instruction booklet with that. You're not being helpful. You're being perky. And that's not really a guiding tool. That's not really a leadership function. Perky is, you know, what cheerleaders do to get the crowd to stop staring at its phones. And so the crowd is distracted and says, what on earth are they doing? And they forget about the phone. So now the cheerleader did her job, his job. So every time we learn something, we actually form a new alter ego that can see things that the other one, the previous one, didn't. We create alter egos all the time in order to address things that we don't really know how to do without help. Now, when someone says, be more positive, we take that as instruction to stop being whatever it is that we are. But we can't stop being who we are, because we're us. So what the person is really saying is, show me a different side of you. Bring out that other you, that one with all the glam and the wine. Bring out that other you who actually knows how to parallel park something this big in that tiny space. Bring out the effective, helpful you who has learned how to navigate these choppy waters. Because until we bring out the more effective, the more appropriate us, one of us who doesn't know what we're doing is left in charge. And that so seldom goes well, really. It's like when they leave me in charge in the kitchen. My eyes are going down to click that thing, right? When they leave me in charge in the kitchen, it's kind of a crapshoot, really. Because I have an idea about where I want to be eventually, and I know where I am in the moment. What I'm not clear on are the steps. And so usually I call on navigator me. The navigator me isn't always, ready to go with the kitchen. Navigator me is maybe trying to pick the appropriate earrings to go with the shoes today, and therefore is busy and isn't interested in the food. And why can't we just order in, says navigator me, which is another way of getting there, really. And the trick with recognizing our alter egos is that it seems weird. It seems weird to do that. It seems fake. It seems phony. Oh, she's just doing that. She just does that. Well, thank God she does, really. Because it's helpful. It is more than the grease that smooths the wheels and makes the mechanism go. It's the part of the brain that actually knows how to steer, knows how to drive this sucker. Because that's the alter ego who was there for the driving lesson. The other alter egos were off in a corner somewhere arguing. So every day, every confrontation we have, every connection we make, creates a new facet of us. I don't know if you remember, or if you were watching a video earlier, that I explained that really we're like diamonds. Picture a diamond, all those different facets. And when the diamond turns in the light, all those different facets have the light on them for a split second. And they sparkle, they shine. And then it moves, and you catch a glint as it goes away, and then another one's coming, and another one's coming. In our lives, it never really occurs to us that if we're the diamond, then we have the power, we have the ability to be the one turning us, to pull up, to retrieve that alter ego, that facet that's best suited to serve, to stand in front in this moment of whatever the hell this is, right? So when I was talking about that I've just invented a new alter ego, and I'm sorry I keep fluffing with my hair, but it gets in my eyes. Last week I said I had invented a new alter ego that I thought would be a lot of fun to create for a show in the future. And she's British, and her name is Cynthia Cook, the E is silent. And she is a life confusion therapist. And her job is to take your question that has confused the living daylights out of you and help you see the forest by getting you to step a little further back from the tree. So I thought Cynthia was lovely. And in order to explain how I go about creating the character, all of my characters, all of my alter egos have a voice, have a character voice, because I'm an actor. And that's one of the ways that I can recognize these characters. The other way that everybody can recognize the character is if I come up with a prop. For instance, the minute I do this, hello everyone, hello everyone, it's Mom, as if you didn't know. Those of you who are of an age to have sat down and on purpose watched You Can't Put on Television realize that I'm channeling the alter ego I created as Mom. Before I joined the show, there were people who played Mom. Brilliant, talented Ruth Buzzy played the Mom character. Christine, from time to time, played a Mom. Several of the other girls, I think, were playing the Mom. I think even Lisa took a stab at it once. But when I came along, I created a totally different Mom. I know she was totally different because she was one of my alter egos. And she was based on someone I knew. She was based on, let's say, the lighter, fluffier sides of my own mom, who was not what we would call intentionally domestic. Sorry. moment there. And she had that voice. And when she wasn't listening, which was often, she would say, "Well, that's nice, dear." And her voice would take on that slightly flat note. And so I would know. So then I would, pull a fast one as quickly as I could before she got her attention back on the moment. And when I created the librarian was someone who intrinsically disliked children. And so the great irony in her life was that she was a librarian in a school. And why are there always so many children in here? Did you wash your hands? So again, that crusty accent. But her mouth was almost always downturned. She wore white gloves. And the children were insufferable as far as she was concerned. So anytime I played her, I brought in those tools because they allowed me to go through my little mental Rolodex and bring her up for the scene. Also, we rehearsed it several thousand times, so if I couldn't bring her up, then we should have just kicked me to the curb. But for real life, for what is going on right now, no one is really aware of the kinds of alter egos they're bringing up and they're stuck on, because that's what they went to sleep thinking and being, and so that's the one that's still with them in the morning. They're not realizing that they have the ability, we all have the ability, to turn the jewel, turn the diamond, select a more effective, workable alter ego. We don't have to just be positive, because negative facet, by definition, isn't positive, and negative facet has a place, has a purpose. Sometimes the negative side of us is a cautionary tale when we're saying, well, how hard could that be? I mean, what's the worst that could possibly happen? Really? Negative us says, you have a minute? And then negative us gives us a little talk. And most of the time I don't listen when negative me talks. I say to myself, oh, for heaven's sake. I remember the wisdom of negative talk later when it's far too late. But there we are, you see. Life is a learning curve. So in this current time, we have become a couple of things that are unattractive. One is that we have begun to channel what I call the small yappy dog. The small yappy dog, if no one has ever seen one or experienced one, welcome to civilization. Welcome to the world. I'm so sorry you left your hermit cave behind. The small yappy dog is a creature overwhelmed by everything. Everything. And to me, it's the canine version of sticking your fingers in the ears and going la 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 really loud so you can't hear anything that's unsettling. When somebody says you have to clean the room, you have to do your homework, you have to meet curfew, and if you put your fingers in your ears and go la 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 la, then you can't hear the instruction. If you didn't hear it, it didn't happen. That's incorrect, but it's an interesting logic, and we've all used it. So the small yappy dog, when it goes out into the world, and it sees everything everything in the world is bigger than a small yappy dog. And so the small yappy dog established territory by making itself as big as it possibly can. So instead of being the size of a change purse, it's the size of a small handbag. And it says to every moving thing, rah, 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 rah. You can't have a conversation with a yappy dog because it's busy. First of all, you'd have to raise your voice, and then that would upset it, scare the living daylights out of it, annoy it, and so it would just raise its volume. And it's already louder than you because it's piercing. There's nothing like a piercing voice to cut through everything. Everything. Except the weight on our hips. We make a note of that, Abby. Fix the weight on our hips with a piercing tone. Maybe if lasers screamed at us. Ah! With that. Never mind. I digress. Yappy dog. Small yappy dog. So, if I just sit here for a second and smile at you, and say nothing, and say nothing, you can probably think of 5 people who are small yappy dogs. I know, right? More? There were more? Okay, we'll do that on your own time. So, many of us have taken on the small yappy dog as our automatic defense mechanism whenever we get on the phone, get on social media, or leave the house. And we have seen many of these small yappy dogs getting on airplanes recently. And when somebody fairly civilized, who actually knows what they're doing, suggests that they follow the rules, which are written down, and by the way, we've been following them ever since Wilbur and Orville built a plane and invited somebody to go along with them. Down in front would have been the first rule. All of a sudden, after years and years and years of everybody deciding they want to fly someplace, those of us who are channeling the small yappy dog turn to the gracious professional in charge who has kindly said, please do this, and the yappy dogs among us have said, rah, 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 and then we've done even worse. And then we're astonished that somebody takes exception. So then we turn on the person who said, hey, you know what? You're not the only one sitting here. Oh, well, then, all of a sudden, they're not the only yapping dog. Now, everybody's a small yappy dog. And I, for one, am astonished that the pilot and the staff on these airplanes haven't said, okay, I'm in, I'm out, check please, and just left the building. Fly it yourselves. Let us know how that works for you. So the small yappy dog is one of those negatives, one of those creatures that can't fix it and is annoyed that somebody isn't. The fact that they're yapping and snarling and therefore can't hear any instructions on how to fix it passes them by entirely, because they're not being intelligent, they're being panicky, they're being negative. And it creates a very toxic ripple effect. If you're in a pond of water, I was just about to use a much more graphic analogy. Let's say you're in a pond of water, and let's say all of a sudden a large animal comes along. I don't know, a hippo. And let's say the hippo had been rolling around in something unfortunate, deceased long ago. And the hippo wades slowly into the water, boom, 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 and sits in the water. Not close to you, but in the same water with you. It won't take long before the ripple effect of the hippo and what the hippo rolled in, and the hippo itself really, has an influence on you, because the water, fluid and moving, will be rippling all around you, and pretty soon you'll say, because that's how life works. So the hippo has a ripple effect on us if the hippo wades into the water where we are. Small yappy dogs have the same effect. They change the air around us. They change the nature of the pond. It is no longer serene and calm. It's now all bumpy and jumpy because of all the yapping and them jumping up and down. Do we like that? No. Is there anything we can do? Yes. There are 3 things we can do. One of them is illegal. The most effective, simplest thing we can do if the dog is not able to listen is go away. Why do I have to go away? Well, you don't have to go away. But what did you want? Did you want the small annoyance to stop affecting you? Then go away. Did you want to try to retrain the small yapping dog so it no longer does that? Well, that takes longer. And in the meantime, you're no longer able to do the thing you came to do because you're focused on the small yapping dog. So here we are, all of us, together in this very large pond. And every single one of us is coming in with incomplete learning, uncertain knowledge, and we have no idea how to channel the best, most effective quality in us, the best facet of the jewel that we really are, to meet the challenge of each day, of each minute, really. And I think one of the ways we can make that easier, especially for those of you who've never tried this before, is to give a facet we want a name. I named my life confusion coach Cynthia Cook. The E is silent, because why not? I named the not very effective but keen mother for television, Mom, also Valerie, because if I said Valerie, Valerie appeared. When I performed the stage show Shirley Valentine, well, he called her Shirley, and I was grateful, you know, because Shirley Valentine is a hook phrase that allows me to bring Shirley back, just like that. So let's not call this your homework. Let's call this your internal investigation work. For Thursday, when my inner Viking and I will be back, I want you to see if you can identify the part of you that you like the best, that allows you to feel the most, I got this. And see if you've given that facet of you a name. And if you can't right away put your finger on who that facet of you might be, pause for a minute and think about the last time you were doing something, seeing something, eating something, being with someone, and you felt amazing. In that moment, that was a new facet of you. Try and call that facet back and give that fabulous part of you a name. Does that make sense? Okay, so for now, this is the Abby facet, signing off. I'll see you on Thursday. Be good to you.